Wolves are beneficial assets to the hunters who trail them because of the multiple bounties rewarded for their annihilation.
The evolving debate during the 1900s over the protection and conservation of the wolf has led to more preservation over time.
Theodore Roosevelt said the wolf was the beast of waste and desolation. Fables created a negative image for the wolf that made people see them as dangerous and intimidating predators.
When the wolf lost its primary source of food, the bison, in the 1800s, they turned to cattle and sheep that farmers owned. The wolf problem was an annihilation program run by the USPS, a federal government agency.
The farmers told the wolf lovers that they should put their money where their mouth is and help pay for all the livestock that were killed by the wolves.
The wolf lovers told the farmers they should put their brain where their mouth is.
In the late 1900s, approximately 80% of trappers and hunters positively looked upon the wolf, and 73% of trappers and 83% of hunters acknowledged that having the wolves in the forest amplified the wilderness experience.
Wolves were said to need managing for 3 reasons. First of all, wolves were distinguished as threats to humans, especially young children. The most straightforward argument for managing the wolves was the havoc on household pets and farmers' livestock. A third conceivable reason for management of the wolves would be to lighten predation on the herds of deer.
The Animal Damage Control Act, passed in 1931, allowed the U.S. Department of Agriculture authority and gave them funds to exterminate wolves that believed to be a danger to families, livestock, and wild animals. The government agents and hunters were successful in killing off nearly all the wolf population in 48 states, not including Hawaii or Alaska.
The very first wolf bounty in the United States was approved by the state of Massachusetts in the 1630s.
This graph shows the amount of bounties from 1875 to 1950. As you can see, the bounty skyrocketed in 1950.
Here in this graph, it shows the number of dollars paid for wolf bounties per year. During the late 1920s, the price went up by $20.
This image displays the population of wolves in Wisconsin from the years 1915 to 1960. Notice how in 1915 there were over 200 wolves, and in 1960 they were virtually extinct.
In this graph, the number of wolf bounties from 1930 to 1955 are shown. As you can see, there is a small break between the years 1940 and 1945. During 1945 to 1950, the wolf bounties became increasingly high.
In order to acquire the full bounty price, hunters would inject a toxic chemical into the dead animals that the wolves would eat, which would poison them. 80 wolves were killed under this system by 1969.
Poison was an extremely widespread and favored way for killing wolves.
The Wisconsin Conservation Department held a contest where they advocated people to shoot wolves whenever and wherever possible.
A directed predator control program was established in 1969, in which people were allowed to trap wolves on their farms if it was approved first. The trappers were rewarded for all the wolves that they trapped.
Sometimes the wolves would act aggressively towards the trappers, and they would club them instead of using their guns so they could save their gunshots.
In 1993, the Damage Control held an annual budget of $30 million and more than 600 employees killing wolves, as stated by Robert McChung.
A survey was taken in 1999 that asked northern people in the Midwest, farmers in all areas, and non-northern people who are in all other regions.
79% of all groups said that overall they cared about the wolf. Most of the farmers said that wolves shouldn't be allowed to spread through Minnesota. The northern and non-northern people were both split in their opinion. A majority of the northern and non-northern people thought that hunting wolves would make them rare. Farmers completely disagreed.
The northern opinion was that people should be allowed to hunt and trap wolves if they are abundant and well managed. Non-northerners are equally divided, and farmers agree with the northern opinion. In the north, wolves that kill livestock should be eliminated. Farmers share the same opinion. Surprisingly, non-northerners didn't agree. The last, but the most influential aspect of this survey is, are you actually afraid of wolves? The vast majority of every single group said they were not the least bit afraid.
In 1966, an Endangered Species Act was passed by the federal government, but it did not provide legal protection for wolves.
The following year, they were listed as endangered. The timber wolf was put on the list in 1973 in the lower 48 states.
To raise awareness, the TV stations and newspapers were showing wolves shot by hunters and trapped in their dens.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service started breeding wolves and releasing them back into the wild because the wolf population started dwindling. The wolves were reintroduced into safe areas like national parks, national forests, and national wildlife refuges run by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Nancy Jo Tubbs said there were no documented accounts in North America of a healthy, wild wolf attacking and killing a human. Wolf recovery programs became active in the Western Hemisphere.
The wolves came back because they could not be killed or trapped. They weren't attacking livestock. The cause of this was the Endangered Species Act that was passed, which protected the wolf in 48 states.
Within a few years, the government, who had been paying large sum bounties for protecting wolves and their habitats.
Articles were published telling people the cold facts on wolf endangerment and how the population was threatened.
The wolf population was better managed, and the ending of bounties and the poisonings had allowed the wolf population to reestablish itself in some regions where it had previously disappeared.
People who saw wolves in the wild came to admire the wolf packs.
Wolves were protected in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota in 1974.
The management has become more controversial and complex.
The widespread problems of the wolf include prejudice, ignorance, and superficial knowledge. These problems still exist among both the wolf supporters and adversaries.
Farmers and the government could not kill wolves even to protect their livestock.
The evolving debate has been very controversial and has been going on for a very long time.
There has still been, and still is, a great deal of opposition to wolf recovery programs and protection. Many groups disagree with allowing wolves to flourish once again. Farmers think that if the wolves are killing their main source of income, they should be eliminated. Hunters who love the deer hunting season say that if wolves return, there won't be any deer left to hunt. Despite these adversities, there have been many pro-wolf programs that have been put into action.
Although there has been controversy that has been aroused by the wolf, they still continue to be one of the misunderstood animals.
Hopefully, with the Department of Natural Resources and other groups and programs and acts or laws that are put into effect, this misunderstanding will fade away and wolves will be removed from the endangered species list.